Bonjour. How's it going, everybody? My name's Elder. Welcome back to the Open Debate. We're gonna hang out here for a moment, wait for some people to hop in to get things going. We'll give a little rundown of this evening's events. But yeah, we're gonna get started here in just a moment. And yeah, we're gonna wait for some people to hop in. We will be having an interview with Auntie Cookie Monster here this evening. There they are now. Hello.
How's it going?
Good. Good. Auntie Cookie Monster, thanks for joining us. I see that we're popping off. We're starting off strong. We'll give the old welcome on to the old open debate. Um, first guest for this round of interviews that we're going to be starting up here, and I appreciate you coming out and giving us your opinion around everything that's going on inside your life, inside your mind, and inside of your perspective of the world. So, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm curious to see where this is going to go.
Yeah, it's just really about discussing where people are coming from, what their content's about. A lot of like what my streams have been about lately, but more on of a one-on-one basis, talking to individuals rather than in a large open forum. Just a one-on-one basis where individuals are able to speak their mind in a more concise format without competing for the microphone or competing over other individuals. So, to get started, I'll ask you a first question here. And it's a very general question. It's very simple, but it's something that we have discussed before. I don't know if you and I have discussed it before, but you can also reiterate. The first question would be, how long have you been involved with the type of content? How would you describe the type of content that you create, and how long have you been involved in making said content?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't think that I really have a type of content. I'm kind of all over the place, and I'm not trying to do really anything with it. Um, the only reason I started originally posting on TikTok was because of the convoy, the Freedom Convoy in Canada. And I had been an admin for the convoy on a page, and we were gaining traction, but I didn't have Facebook, so I wasn't able to connect with people there. So I started posting on TikTok, and my page kind of took off and then branched into more things that I was into, like just humor and conspiracy theory type stuff, philosophy type questions. And now I really don't post that much because I'm just watching. I see a lot of things happening in the community and amongst just people and humans in general, and I'm curious more than anything. So I'm not really posting specific content or even often.
Yeah. So it would be the convoy is what got you into the atmosphere of, I guess, moving on to TikTok after being on Facebook.
No, I I don't have Facebook, never had Facebook. I haven't had it since like 2016. Um, it was the Telegram channel that I was the admin of.
Okay.
And yeah, it was going crazy. Like we had different different countries getting involved, and like I just wanted to help more.
Hmm.
So I started posting on TikTok.
Yeah, so that's pretty crazy. That's an interesting perspective because I've never really used Telegram until uh, situations we'll get into in the later on in the discussion. But I didn't use Telegram often, and I didn't really know much about it. And so you're saying that you weren't really on social media. So how did you find out about like Telegram groups or like stuff like that? Or like how did you even hear about the convoy itself? I guess I could ask.
So that's kind of, yeah. It was, there was a whisper amongst people. Like I've been on Telegram for a while, and there was a whisper as well as on Facebook, like a couple ways, honestly. Like, so I seen a poster that led me to Telegram because it had a QR code at the bottom, and it led me to a channel that was essentially just, now that I know from watching the emergency inquiry, it was the guys from Bear Hug that they're from out here, from my area, and they had a sticker, I guess, maker, and we're throwing up stickers around Chilliwack. And I seen one, scanned a QR code because I was like, hell yeah, that's a sick sticker. I want it. It says I can get it for free. And it was like, um, I don't know if you guys can see that, but like,
Yeah, it's flipped. It's like inverted, but
yeah, so it says like good evening news. It's the 6 o'clock and here's what we want you to think. Like, I got a bunch of them. It's like you can't comply your way out of tyranny, however you want to say it if you're Canadian or American. But yeah, there were just some cool ass stickers, and I was like, hell yeah, I wanna I wanna get involved, and I joined Telegram, and from there, like, you got all these pages. I had Facebook for like a couple months, and I was like, yeah, this isn't worth it. I'm not a fan. I started posting on Instagram, which I did have, but my account got booted and it got deleted. So um, I just never went back onto it, and I just stuck with Telegram until I hit TikTok. And I kind of gave in to TikTok. I didn't want TikTok. It was just, like everyone over the pandemic, you're like, fuck it, download this dumb app that turns out to like flip your freaking world. And yeah, it just went from there.
so it was a struggle. It was like an internal fight to get yourself onto TikTok.
Oh yeah, no, I hated it. I still hate it. That's why I don't post, I think.
So since you started on TikTok, what have you found your experience to be compared to what you believed it would be when you were so inclined to not join?
So I thought it would be childish, and that's why I didn't want to download it or have it. I was like, oh, that's like a kids app. Let the kids have their fun. Instagram went down, and I was like, all right, let's give it a go. I got onto it, and to be honest, it was a sinkhole. For like the first week or two, it was like an addiction, like 24/7, just video after video of the dumbest shit. And I don't know, my ADHD kicked, and I was like, wait a fucking minute. I've just spent like a week of mindlessly scrolling, and I haven't left the house. Like, I felt like a zombie. And I was like, hey, so that's what this app is meant for. That's what this app does to people, and that's what you need to be aware of. And instantly I realized that, and I had been posting like art stuff because I like arts and crafts. And I was like, this app is it's twisted, and the algorithm is very specific in targeting like your psychological points. Like, it wants to break you, which is really weird to say, but yeah, it's like it like almost gives you exactly what you want, and that's not a good thing. Like, your FYP and everything gives you exactly what you want, and I wanted to break that. So I had said, screw it, things were getting crazy over on Telegram, and I was like, all right, I'm going to change my page, and I'm gonna do this and let's see how many people I can get to before I get in trouble. And I did. Like, some of my original convoy videos were like right at the beginning. We're getting like hundreds of thousands of views, and all of a sudden everything was snowballing. I did like a radio interview. It was pretty crazy. Yeah. And
Well,
then
tell me
now I
about that.
see the toxicity happening in the beginning.
What happened with that radio interview? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I honestly don't remember exactly what the radio station was now, but it was a radio station from the States that hit up our Telegram page, and because I was one of the admins, I still am. Um, they were asking like what's going on here and who's in charge, and we were trying like they wanted an interview, and we were kind of talking about it, and there was no one actually in charge. The guy that made the page, the channel, uh, he essentially was like anybody that was there actively and encouraging positivity amongst the community, he was giving admin to, as long as you were active, right? So it was like me in there for weeks, days, whatever, just actively being positive. Like I see nothing but positivity over on Telegram. It was wild, to be honest. We made group channels for all these other individual countries, provinces, and states so that they could connect with other freedom loving people in their own area. We had people from every country coming in and posting videos of their own like, oh, it gives me chills. It was amazing. And I was trying to bring that vibe to TikTok, and it was like that in the beginning. It was. Like, I got a lot of hate because obviously there's unaware people and TikTok wasn't really ready for it yet. Maybe it was, and that's how we broke through, because TikTok is what got Canada on the news in a sense. It was our TikTok videos, and not just mine, like other people's TikTok videos of the horse trampling and like of Justin Trudeau. Like, it was other people's, it was TikTok that started making it, more. But that quickly became very toxic. And you could definitely see like the tribalism happening. And
Hmm.
I'm not for that. I'm very much like a humanist, I call myself. So I kind of stopped posting about the Freedom Convoy, but I went into every live and I was gifting and I was doing all of that stuff, but I didn't feel the need to be attacked. I wasn't at the protest in Ottawa. I was out here protesting. I went to 2 or 3 protests out here, and I was dealing with the admin channel. So I didn't have like, any of the front end footage to share. So I was just reposting, sharing, and commenting. And then yeah, the tribalism kind of hit, and it's it TikTok got toxic, so I took a break.
Yeah, and I
You
would,
did too. I seen you.
yeah, I definitely took a break over these holidays. It was good. Took a step back. I streamed, I think the night before Christmas Eve, or I couldn't have because the power was out throughout all of Christmas. But I streamed a little bit before Christmas, and then I didn't stream again until like just the other day, maybe yesterday, actually. Um,
Yeah.
it's been quite a long break because I definitely see exactly what you're talking about, not only in that atmosphere, but in all atmospheres on TikTok, the same as any other social media.
Mhm.
Um, with that, with what you've been discussing, there is something that I want to discuss with you that is in relevance to all of this, but it goes back even further than that, right? So when you saw the initial stickers in your town, in your hometown, that led you to the Telegram groups, you didn't know what it was going to be about. or did you? Like just by that sticker, couldn't be 100%
Yeah, no,
certain what was going
yeah. No, no, I got the vibe from the stickers because here's another one.
on.
Obedience is doing what you're told regardless of what is right. Resistance is doing what is right regardless of what you're told. There was a bunch of other stickers in the loop that was strapped together, and it was like Justin Trudeau's face, and it was just like, ha ha ha, I told you to get the vaccine and you believed me. Like, there's
Okay.
some savage ones. I fucking love them. Well, like, I knew exactly what it was about, and that's why I went. Yeah, friendly reminder, it was your government that stole your freedoms, destroyed your business, and ruined your children's future, not unvaccinated people. Coercion is not consent. Like,
Yeah,
I was
so it
down.
was full context. Yeah, full context. Okay, so
Oh, yeah.
that's even better then.
I
Like
knew
either
what was
way,
up.
either are fine. But the question in itself is more so around the idea of like, what was your experience during the lockdowns and leading up
Hmm.
to the convoy itself? You kind of asked you kind of already answered the second part of the question, which would be what was your
So
experience through the convoy, but you can answer that as well.
I wasn't, yeah, so I wasn't actually really affected in the beginning, um, financially or otherwise. I didn't even have to take the vaccine because I was off on EI. I was working a seasonal job and planning to go back to school. So I had all of this other stuff in the works, which I'm just ending school now. So yeah, I didn't even have to think about it other than obviously my fiance being a paramedic. Like, he was high stress, having to deal with all of that. So I was actually like able just to support him through the beginning because everything that he had to do. And then into the lockdown, I would say like it became painfully aware extremely quick that we were in a narcissistic relationship with our government. And the bribery and everything, and so many things threw up red flags for me, um, with what was happening on just so many levels that I was automatically aware of where it was leading and
What
what
was
the
that
risk
tipping
was.
if you can pinpoint anything, like what would be the one catalyst that made you say, okay, enough is enough. Something's not right here.
So, like, it, like, honestly, right away, there was no tipping point. The second they advertised it as, like, I seen through these fucking news commercials and advertisements and all the radio commercials like day one. There
Are
was
you
no
talking about the
tipping point.
vaccine?
I knew everything,
Are you
the
talking
whole
about
pandemic, everything. Like, I knew
okay.
everything.
I
Like, I
just wanted
knew
to
day
differentiate.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, day one for all of it, I knew it was bullshit. And that sounds like, how the fuck would you know? But it was just so many things, like a gut feeling, an instinct, intuition, knowledge, understanding. Just nobody was dying. Nobody was dying. All I ever heard was like, oh, people are dying. There's people that are sick that are dying. And it's like, okay, well, who? Where? And even, yeah, it was just painfully
So
obvious.
I don't want to move past this question, but something that with inside of this, I'd love to know your answer on because this is very interesting. At the very beginning of this pandemic, they showed us images and videos coming out of China showing people suddenly dying.
Yeah,
And we all said, what the
dropping
fuck?
dead.
That is insane. We got to figure this out. Like, I'm not having this come here. And then it went away. And now we're seeing individuals within the United States
Same
and
thing.
Canada and Europe suddenly dying. So what's going on, in your opinion?
Well, with the suddenly, like the SAD, sudden adult death syndrome, that that's that's 100% the vaccine. But what happened in China was a propaganda campaign because they did, like, it's been proven that Fauci and them, like, released this virus, and all the news that has come out about it, you know, it's not even in question anymore. And the people that do question it are honestly just they're choosing to be willfully ignorant. It's not that they are just willfully ignorant. At this point, they're choosing to be stupid. And
So, yeah, okay, yeah. Just so like, just
yeah,
so that I get it
I
under
think the
like
whole
straight. So
China
like the
thing was
understanding,
fake, to be honest.
so the understanding, like, but like, okay, this is what makes me just confused because I am 100% a conspiracy theorist, obviously, but like, so we're thinking that China faked this propaganda in order to scare the world from a virus that was also
Not
coming
just
from their
China.
country. But we only saw videos of
Yeah,
people
but not
suddenly
just
dying
China.
in
Like, think
China.
about, yeah, which is, that's again, you need to think about it in a controlled media aspect too. Like, we're only shown what they want us to see on a regular basis. Like,
Hmm.
Hollywood is not
From
your
yeah,
friend.
from that mainstream perspective, within groups like you
Yeah,
have joined yourself that are spreading separate, independent information, that's where you're going to find stories from real people. But on the news,
yeah,
from on the average outlet, you're only going to get a story that's
it's
being fed
controlled.
to you. I completely agree with that.
Yeah, and it's not even the story that's being fed to you. It's very curated and sometimes just random to fill time, space, and collect views. Like, if they fill your feed with 15 different articles, all about the same topic, and only one of them is accurate, you're not guaranteed to, and a lot of people don't even click on these articles, like, that they release, and they don't even actually go read them because the headlines will be clickbaity, and then you go read the article and it's completely opposite of what the headline says. So once
So I'm
you
gonna
are
I'm gonna bring
aware
it
that
back to
they're
the
doing that,
I'm going to bring it back to the question at hand just because we are still talking about exactly what I was asking and within the sense of like how you did respond because you yourself are conspiratorial. You look into things, you want to know the answers, and you just don't take things at face value. And so, like you just described, throughout the entire pandemic, you were looking at things by taking a step back and trying to analyze it, and it didn't seem correct to you. And so,
yeah.
um, that brings us to when the convoy started. You said that you were in Telegram chats that were leading up to things discussing what was happening. Throughout the time, you did describe a little bit that you were looking after the channels, you were protesting in your own area. But what's your general
Mhm.
feeling around what happened during those events? And was anything achieved? Was anything impacted positively or negatively? And what results have you seen or do you see from the actions that were taken during the convoy?
So I think a lot was achieved from, if not the convoy, but the protests that also happened in all the cities along the way, along the bridges and everything, the overpasses. Um, to me, I would say the most positive thing that happened is a lot of people across the world, not just necessarily in Canada, but a lot of people across the world realized that there are others like them that also think the same way, and don't want their freedoms stripped, and they don't want to be forced to have this vaccine. Over the lockdown, you know, everything was pushed down your throat to essentially you're evil for not getting it. You're gonna kill grandma. You're gonna, you're not wanted at Thanksgiving. What are they gonna do with you? You're a racist, misogynist, and a non-science believer. Like they had deemed you to be plague rats in a sense, as disgusting as that is, and that it demoralizes you. So if nothing else positive, like lots positive came from it, but I would say like the biggest positive thing for me was knowing that there were not just a few like me, but there were millions upon millions of people across the world that thought and felt and stood their fucking ground, that had a backbone, had the balls to say no, and were willing to risk losing it all, because that's the most courageous thing that you could ever do, is to literally be willing to risk everything you have and you are for something that you believe in, and it for it to be a good thing. It's, like, I'm not talking about religious zealots that are, the extremist type people that are going to risk it all. Not that, but I mean, like, for an actual courageous and good positive thing, and that's all that they wanted from it was was positivity. Like, nobody went to the convoy expecting, oh, like, we're gonna get violent, this is gonna be like the Vancouver riots. Like, everybody went with positivity and love in their heart, and that was just, it was mind-blowing to see and to feel. um you were at the protest, like, it was life-changing. So that's the good thing. The negative side is somehow, and I don't really fully understand it, but despite the fact that we may have woken a bunch of people up, it would seem that a lot of people are just sheep to new systems, and a lot of people have broken off into these little segregated groups, and they're like, oh, we're not right wing, we're not this, we're not that, we're not this, we're not that, we're this. And like, some really weird shit's happening amongst, on TikTok
Infighting
specifically, in these
from both
weird groups, and
groups.
it's interesting to watch.
Mhm.
Yeah,
There's a lot of infighting from
yeah,
both
and it's
sides.
very interesting to watch. Yeah, and it's very interesting to see the human aspect, despite the fact that they, like, both groups have come to consensus and, agreed upon things and agreed to be nicer, and, all these different things, is let's not hurt each other, let's not bully. None of them have actively stopped doing what they said they were going to. It's the most human thing ever. Like, we see it in our politicians. We're like, oh, he says all the right words, but he never acts on them. And it's literally like you're just watching it in smaller and smaller scales in these little groups. It's like, oh yeah, they say all the right things, but they never do anything about it. They never actually, act on those things. They don't stop
Yeah,
bullying or stop doing this. Or it's been
no.
quite interesting. I'm definitely enjoying watching humanity eat itself. Yeah, humans are
Well,
weird.
it's a sad thing to see happen, and individuals often have the most visceral reaction to those traits that they see within themselves being acted out in other people. That's why you know,
Yes.
we know, like, we know what you do that's wrong. You can pretend all day and act virtuous, but
Right?
you know what you don't like about yourself. And when you see that acted out in the public, you often act out against it because you don't like it. But 9 times out of 10, good question to ask yourself, and I'll ask you the question here. If you were to be with yourself in a room, do you think that you'd enjoy your company?
Like, if I were to be with myself and oh fuck yeah. We'd have some great conversations. We'd probably have a fist fight and I'd fucking get gully on this bitch, but I think we'd be friends for sure.
Yeah.
as twisted as
So to
that
bring it
is,
back to
but yeah.
the COVID type situation, just to wrap up with that topic. Um, oh, there is something I guess after this, but it's an interesting thought. Um, but I want to know from your perspective: do you believe that COVID itself, the pandemic, not the
Mhm.
virus, because the virus is obviously still here. It's not going anywhere. It's not going to be gone. But I'm asking, do you believe
No,
that
it's not.
the panic that had set in, the response, the way that we were looking at things, has it completely changed? Is it over? And yeah, do you believe that it's over? Or are we still in the midst of a serious situation that we need to be focused on?
It's been over since the second month of lockdown. The virus, like, yeah, it's not going anywhere. It's died down. It's, like we're in what, the fifth or sixth version of this virus. I'm personally unvaccinated, and I believe that I had it twice, two different types. The first one would have been prior to it even being called COVID. I had some unknown bronchial pneumonia type infection for like 3 months. Me and my roommate gave it to me at the time. And for 3 months, like just coughing and hacking, couldn't breathe. And we went to the hospital and they're like, yeah, something's going around. We don't know. And then it was like the next month after we went to the hospital, they're like, COVID. And I was like, oh, that's what it was. Ain't even worried about this bitch. And then just
Mhm.
recently, my fiance, now he's my fiance, he had gotten sick and he wasn't feeling good, but it was like a weird, just 1 day fever and body chills, and then like a week or two of physical exhaustion. And it was like mental physical exhaustion. It was very weird. Unlike any flu or cold that I've ever had before, and I'm very aware of like my body and its symptoms. Yeah, it was very strange, but it was like 2 or 3 weeks of definite like mental fog, whatever they said that was for the COVID. Yeah, physical exhaustion. The first day was just like fever and a chill. I never went and got tested, nor will I, or would I.
Well, you
I'm
can
not,
also attest. It doesn't really matter
I'll get over it.
if you got tested or not, because they don't have a cure. They don't have any way to remedy it. And so your only thing is if you get bad enough, you're going to have to figure something out. There, you have to be put on a ventilator. It's like your only real
Yeah,
hope. But one thing that you can say that I can also say as well is throughout the last year, I have experienced a sickness that unlike anything else that I've ever experienced. It's not that it has been worse than anything else, it's been different than any other time I've been sick.
yeah,
And it's like, I know what it feels like to be sick. And this time was just different. It was a different, I've had
yeah,
pneumonia, I've had walking pneumonia before. This was a different thing. And I believe I've had it twice in
yeah,
my life as well. And it just felt different. And both times were a little bit different, but it was both like it felt like a respiratory thing, but also not normal the way that I've had it before. Very draining
yeah,
when it comes to like energy wise, as well as like affecting the way that things taste and your appetite. A lot of like weird psychological symptoms. So it's like, what's
yeah,
going on? Something's weird. Something's up. But either way,
yeah,
regardless, from everything that you're saying, essentially you're saying,
yeah.
no, it's not over, and it's probably never going to be over. It's just a part of our lives now.
Yeah, it's a virus that's going to break down and mutate and split off into different things, unfortunately. And just like every other flu that happens, every other flu season, there is a potential for it to be deadly to anyone with, previous illness or weakness. So it's to me, it's
Yeah.
done and it's over. And in all honesty, if there is another pandemic, like situation in my lifetime, it's it's 100% gonna be deadly as fuck because at that point my conspiracy brain is kicking and I'm like, yo, that's Bill Gates just actually trying to kill us. Just depopulate. So, like, there's no way a second one would ever happen in our lifetime. Think about the last time an actual plague-like pandemic happened. Like, it's once every, So, if it happens again, and they're like, "Oh, there probably will be people dropping dead in the streets."
Yeah, and we're very lucky that this is like what a lot of people don't want to actually bring up or talk about is the fact that this was not a very deadly virus. It was very transmissible. It spread like wildfire, but it was not as deadly as even the initial projections made it out to seem, and the projections that we based our entire lockdowns off of. And we're lucky. We're lucky for that. I think that's a very good thing. And people, for some reason, just don't want to accept that. But if it was, you and I probably wouldn't be having this conversation right now. And so I'm glad that it wasn't as bad as it could have been. I'm going to have to ask you this question, right? Because I don't
Yeah,
want to focus on COVID for too much longer. But one thing that I think is an
yeah, that's fine.
interesting thing that I'd like to ask pretty much everybody that does come on to these discussions is what were you focused on in your life before COVID happened?
Ooh, that's a different one. I wasn't. I had no focus. Um, yeah, I had just kind of quit my manager position at a gas station. I was like working at this seasonal job, and I had just gotten EI, so like I was just off for a couple months, kicking back, relaxing. I really didn't have a direction, and then COVID hit, and that's when I was waiting to go back to work at the seasonal place because I was hoping it would be open despite the fact that COVID had hit. I was like, oh, well, you never know, right? With the way things were going, I wasn't sure. And I did. I ended up going back for a bit, but I ended up leaving there and I went and worked at another place. And then I was like, no, I want to go to school and I want to actually, hey here, yeah, I want to actually do something with my life. So that's when I did start focusing.
It kind of gave you that little extra push that you needed to show, like, not even to show anything, to give you that. You were already in the position at that, like you said, like where you were like, okay, I have a little bit of time, I can figure out what's going on. But this gave you the
Yeah.
opportunity, just like it gave many people the opportunity. Here is a window that you are not obligated to do anything. Do what you would like to do with yourself. And you were like, I have some aspirations.
Yeah.
I have the time. Let's get them done. Yeah, that's
Yep.
good.
Yeah.
So the
That is
pandemic
one
ended
thing
up
I
being
do
a
think
net
like
positive for you.
yeah, and I think it sounds weird, but I think it could have been for a lot of people had they done it right. Like that sounds weird to say. Had they done the pandemic right? No.
Had they not been so afraid and had the
A lot
mindset
of
like
people
you
like
had,
had well, no, and not only that, like, because there was a lot of people with careers that like just made flips, like completely changed careers halfway through the pandemic and like started going back to school for this or started doing that. There's a lot of people that did that. But the people that didn't were like ones that were happy with their career or working from home at that point, or were like first responders. And then below all of those net positive people, and this sounds really bad, like, yeah, I'm a shitty person. There was the lazy people that literally just did nothing. They collected EI and they fucking collected their CERB in Canada and they just sat there and did nothing. Like they took the 2 months, 6 months, however long our lockdown was, as just like sit on the couch and get fat time. And those people are so much worse off now because all these minimum wage jobs are like not hiring people and they're trying to find work again. And it's like a lot of people got addicted to drugs and it was positive for me, but
That doesn't mean it was positive for
not for
everybody.
them.
That's just your own personal story, and that's okay. It's okay to have a good story and to have a story that you where you come out on top, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be an average for everybody. That's what makes anecdotal evidence, but that's what makes these types of conversations important because it's also just like it was important for you to see that other people felt the same going into this pandemic. It's good for people to see coming out of it that not everybody has been affected the same way. It had a very positive impact on your life, although it had a negative for many others. And like it's okay to have that. So I feel like a lot of people feel
Yeah,
guilty for that coming out of this, like when they're better off than they were before, and
I
they
do.
feel
Yeah,
guilty because so many people are in a really bad spot right now.
yeah, and I do feel guilty. To be honest, I got lucky, and to the rest of the people that got lucky, like rather than flaunting it or doing anything like that, like once I get the chance, I'm not even done school, but like once I do get the chance, I plan on helping where I can. Like I know the food bank's in dire need of help, so I want to be able to donate food and like, but that comes with time. I have to actually finish school.
Well, you will. You're getting there.
Yeah, no,
From what I've
yeah,
seen
it's the end
in
of the
the
month and I'm
updates
done.
you've given here, you've been doing pretty dang good. With that being said, that can actually move us forward to the next
Yeah.
topic here, okay? So, from apart from top politics, you
Mhm.
speak a lot about technology, artificial intelligence, and new, new, new technologies, really in general. That whole science and technology sphere. Um, the question that I have for you
Mhm.
is, how did you get into being interested in technology, and what are your thoughts around artificial intelligence?
So boredom and time over COVID, I found a website, uh, literally just on my spare time, and I was like, let's learn how to build a website for shits and giggles. So I did, and I enjoyed it, and I just kept looking up different things, and over time, it had been a couple months at that point of me just like learning shit on my own, and I was like, well, let's go to school for it. Let's figure this out. It was no way, shape, or form a plan. It just kind of happened. I love gaming, so like, oh, let's learn how to do this. Let's learn how to do that. How is this built? How does this work? And yeah, it's interesting, but it's annoying, and I think that makes it more interesting to me.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
It's a
And what was the
kind
other
of a
one?
snowball effect. Well, we can
Yeah.
get to that in just a second, but it was kind of a snowball effect. So you started just looking into a technology and realized that you had the type of mind that connected very well and easily with this sort of information. And so you decided, why not make a career out of it, especially if it's a lucrative career at this point in time in life.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
And that's where everything's going. Yeah. That's where everything's going. So if you don't know technology in depth in this future, you're pretty much screwed. If you plan on having children, they need to not only know how to play video games, operate technology safely, but they need to know how to make content because it's your personal content that's your data is going to be your bank account in the future. And that's painfully like it's sickening obvious right now.
Your
Um,
data's already your bank
yeah, with
account when
like
you
the
look at
the
the
crossover to
social
digital.
credit scores. Sorry, is
I
that what you
know,
were
but
saying?
for the sheeple that don't understand that, they think they're still rocking with the $5 bills and the toonies again in Canada. Um, you know, it for the unaware people, yeah. The only reason we're not futuristic right now is because of holdouts, is what I would say. Um, it wasn't financially feasible prior to this latest bank run. Is let's call COVID and the pandemic and the vaccine. Let's call that a bank run. Shitload of rich people just rolled into town and robbed every single bank, and on their way out, they left an IOU note. A fuck you from the WEF. And with all this money available, we're already hearing words of 15-minute cities and AI this, and you won't have to work because of UBI, and they have the future, like it's pre-planned, it's pre-packaged, and it's ready to go. The only reason it's not happening is because of outliers, because there's too many people saying no and still fighting it. If they could have brainwashed, if the system worked like it was meant to, our children would be a lot dumber by now. They would have dumbed down our children to complete idiots, buffoons by now. And they essentially have, like, little kids come home crying climate change and we're destroying the planet, but at the same time they're begging for every single toy they see on YouTube at Christmas time from mommy and daddy. Like, the buffoonery is already there. And once they can rile us all into these 15-minute cities, digital currency and social credit is it's not even unfathomable. It's the most logical next step from a tech point of view. And it makes sense if you understand technology. It's like, oh, that's a great system, depending on who runs it. You got the
Yeah.
fucking Jack Dorsey of Twitter running that system. It's communist. It's everybody is poor and happy. The same
Yeah,
kind
so
of
let
happy.
me yeah, so let me ask
Poor.
you this whole thing. This is all about what you're saying, okay? But also with like the second part of the question. The second part of the question is like, what are your thoughts around AI? And so with that being said, what if AI was running this type of system, but also in the same sense, somebody said in the comments something about Gen A and being the smartest group. I'm not really looking at the comments. I'm really just having the conversation with you. But like I noticed Gen A being like the smartest group, and they meant Gen Z. But either way, all I thought was like the youngest generation. The youngest generation is super fucking smart though when it comes to the idea of technology and being able to pick up on technology and use it. You have literal 6, 7 month old babies using smartphones and tablets, and you're like, I didn't even like. I remember even it was back in like 2016 or something, and I was working, and this girl had a 2 year old baby, and the baby would make a playlist of all of their favorite YouTube videos and put them in so they can go back and watch them all the time. It's like, what are you doing? You're 2 years old. Um, so the idea of they're picking up technology way better than we are, but how does that compare to artificial intelligence and how the world will be run in the future, as well as the introduction of GPT,
Yeah,
chat,
so
whatever the fuck.
I don't think that kids are picking up on, yeah, Chat GPT. I don't think kids are picking up on technology any better than we did when we were back. I would have been in like elementary school when home computers became a thing, but um, we picked up on it just as quick. And the reality is that our kids are picking up on it at maybe a little faster pace than we were, but at the same time, they're being taught by monkeys, essentially, because we are not that technologically advanced. So most parents are putting pictures of their children on their Facebooks at such a young age, and they're giving them their own Facebook and own social media and putting their real name, real date of birth, real address, real everything. Like, we're the ones that are essentially operating it, and because like we're doing it in such an unsafe and stupid manner, the kids are doomed already. Like, nobody's teaching these kids internet safety. No, we're just
Okay, so
giving them a phone and
we're
saying,
getting
hey,
super
watch
far ahead of
YouTube to keep
ourselves.
busy. Like, we're indoctrinating them to idiocracy. Yeah,
I want to
we're
hear
not
your
teaching them
explanation around
anything.
like,
I mean,
yeah, I want to hear your explanation around like why they're in danger and why like artificial intelligence itself will play a negative role in these children's lives in the future. For those who don't understand really what we're really what's going on, because not everybody's on the same page. Not everybody understands how detrimental these things online can be or will be in the future.
yeah, so like it's to the point where it's so simple, like this is actually mind-boggling. There is human trafficking on a significant scale happening on Snapchat because teenagers and young girls and boys are posting their Snap locations and making their locations live. And the reason that they're doing that, I had a conversation with a 16-year-old boy, like, why are you doing that? So that he can locate single and available girls. So they're using Snapchat as a dating app, but the predators and the human traffickers have figured that out, and they're going on there and finding actual real-time data locations of kids as young as like 7, 8 years old, snapping with their friends with their location on because the parents haven't turned it off because they just gave their kid a cell phone. Like we're that absolutely clueless. Like, oh, don't forget to leave your Bluetooth on so that it connects to the car when you get back to the car from the mall. Meanwhile, your Bluetooth has been on the whole time walking through the mall, and anybody with a scanner could have pulled your entire phone data. Like, kids
So it
are
goes a lot deeper than
fucking
AI.
doomed
It's
because of our ignorance. Oh,
Yeah, I was gonna say
well,
it
with
goes a
the
lot deeper
AI
than
though,
AI.
with
But there's just
AI,
the
like,
regular technology. Okay, so you're good. You're good. Go on.
yeah, that's just regular shit. But you want to get into the AI and like people call them deep fakes, but essentially it's just, like graphic. It's Hollywood, like anticlimactic little videos and short clips. They can make you anybody. Like it takes 10 seconds. You can use a green screen and you can be Al Pacino, you can be anybody that you want. And if you know that, like specifically targeting kids, if you know that little kids are really into this band or this group or this, that, or this TikTok, this, that, it's very easy for people to manipulate, AI and use it against just average everyday people, let alone children. I do see benefits for things like the GP chat. It's sticky because if used properly, it's the benefit to AI chat is huge. Like, so you can go and put in a problem like, hey, write this, or hey, answer this, solve this question. And we could potentially use it to solve a lot of human issues. Um, but at the same time, there is always a potential for backlash, for, like unintended results. And with AI, if you put it into something like, let's say, a robot, it could physically, it could terminate Terminator style. But if you kept it in just like a program or a software style uh, thing, like they are for GP chat, where you can go in and just ask for it to, give you a breakdown on a movie or a book, and that way you don't have to do it for school. I don't see a problem with that.
Mhm.
There's so many things to it. Like if AI isn't maintained and like kept in check, if it's not kept in check, even Elon Musk had said that. If it's not kept in check, it's potentially the most dangerous thing to ever unleash upon the planet. And with our government and tech the way that it is, that's exactly what's going to happen is we're gonna unleash death upon our own planet.
Okay, so I am looking at the comments a little bit just because it has to. You got to interact with the comments a little bit to ensure that people feel as though they're being included. And we are reading them. I don't know if you are. You don't have to read the comments. Anybody that comes in that I'm talking to, you definitely don't need to read the comments. But I'm just seeing and grasping what people are saying. And somebody said, like, why are we afraid of AI? And I don't know if everybody's afraid of AI, but I do think that there is a good or I do believe that there is a valid concern when it comes to artificial intelligence and the way that it could impact our lives in the future. They said, why are you afraid of AI? Because of Hollywood? Like, y'all ever think of that? Personally, I have thought about artificial intelligence and the way that it could impact our lives in the future, and that's why I am afraid of it. I'm not afraid of it in the sense of the actual Terminator or like iRobot or the Matrix. I'm not worried about robots
No,
coming and taking over my life. I'm more worried about this. It's like a ghost that inhabits machines in my mind, but
no.
I'm not going to
So
get into my perspective.
you said
That's what
that.
I'm
You
just, I
said
am
that like
afraid of AI.
no, but you said it in such a good way. I'm not afraid that robots will come and take over my life, but you are. We're afraid that robots will take up every daily interaction to the point that we'll just become mindless zombies, useless slobs, because we don't actually need to do anything. We have no purpose as humans. Humans need they need something like meaning, some sort of meaning to their lives, whether it's as innate as being spiteful and living because you hate life, or as you're a genius and you want to save humanity. Whatever meaning you apply to life, that's fine. And people are scared that, because a lot of people, the meaning of their life is their job, their passion, their daily activities. Imagine all of that gets taken away because now there's a robot server, there's a machine that does your job, there's all these things that people, label themselves as, like, I'm an engineer, I'm an electrician, I'm a plumber, I'm a this. All of that would be gone. So yeah, people are scared that robots are going to come and take over their life, not take their lives. We're not actually scared like this is going to be Terminator 2007 and they're going to roll in and freaking try and kill us. But they could definitely kill us slowly, and the government could provide us options to opt out, which they already are, and that's made. So it's like, oh, you don't like the New World Order, the way things are going? Oh, you're sad, you're depressed, you're anxious? Here, kill yourself. Oh, you don't want to do it? Okay, we'll kill you for you.
I definitely understand where you're coming from, and it gives me a different perspective to look at it from because I do think that's a very good outlook in a way that people definitely would be afraid. And that's not something I'm worried about. Even if I did live in that world, I don't base my pride and my life goals off of the physical attributes that I have achieved through like what I would consider my career. But a lot of people do, and that's okay. That's what life is. So that basically is what
Mm-hmm.
life is. So it makes a lot of sense that that is what people would be afraid of. So it's a very good perspective. My fear is more so like the surveillance aspect and the way that it would be like I'm here in your even just like with the idea of like Alexas, Amazon Alexa. So I'm here in my house and do my thing, and then I go to your house and I walk in. And Alexa's like, "Hi, Tyler, how's it going?" And I'm like, "What the fuck? Like you're everywhere." And they are the AI would be everywhere. Every interface that is part of it is. And if we have everything connected, it is just
Mm-hmm.
everywhere. If you are on the naughty list, you don't get into the store. It's not going to open the door for you. It knows who you are. I'm not letting you in.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is getting that's where it gets weird for me.
So you're like me. Yeah, you're like me, where it's the safety and control aspect that have an issue with. Like it's like a surveillance state, 100%. And the safety concerns beyond that are unsurmountable. Look, it's crazy. Yeah. But for the average
Hmm.
people, the average person that doesn't have, like, I don't like demeaning people and saying like that doesn't have the know or the knowledge, that they're just the average person that isn't aware. Um, yeah, their main fear is going to be like, oh, you're taking everything from me, and you're giving me UBI. To me, it's UBI in the future is going to be necessary, 100%. It's inevitable, but whether that UBI is going to be fair or, like there's so many other problems with that. But right now, it seems the only people that want UBI are the people that are actively abusing and using welfare and disability systems. Those are the only people that actually want it. Everyone else is willing to work. Everyone else is willing to stay asleep and stay in the system and continue their matrix life, as long as it's fair and they're given the illusion of opportunity. And then there's these
How
lower
would you
people
describe
that are
UBI?
just
Sorry for cutting you off.
in current context or like potential future utopian context.
Both. As of right now, and then I guess in which you're describing. I guess you're not. You're describing right now. So as of right now, and then also what you would like to see if you had the perfect UBI.
Yeah. So UBI right now is essentially just beggars asking for more and our government giving it to them. It's people that like haven't worked, you know, in fucking years. Then they sit on EI and they're like, universal basic income is absolutely necessary. I have X many disabilities and I can't afford to pay my bills. Well, whose fault is that, first of all? Like, what, all these disabilities that are happening, people are faking their little bullshit autisms and ADHDs from TikTok videos. They're, literally self-diagnosing. They've never been to a doctor. When you talk to a lot of these people that push these mental illness pages and stuff like that, they don't even go to a doctor. They just self-diagnose in the comment section, and then they write it in their bio like, I have ADHD, I have bipolar, I have disassociation disorder. Like, they it's to the point where like people have made a mockery of every mental illness, so that the people that actually are suffering from those issues are just are completely overlooked. And with that came, I guess I would say, a lot of scammers, because disability is more than welfare. So they were able to, over the pandemic, they would get fake diagnosed with all these disabilities, and they started claiming fucking, you know, disability now and demanding more money and wanting UBI. But it is it will be necessary if and when uh, we go into the future. Because there's no way, like, even in a utopian, let's say, like, we were lucky enough to somehow manage to flip all of this shit into something great. Would you really want an income? Like, does that make sense? Like, if everything is taken care of for you, like robots provide Jetson style. Do you remember the Jetsons cartoon?
Yeah.
How like they just had the little thing on the wall, and they would program in your food, program in your water, it would give everything out for you. That's going to be all like crickets, and it's not going to be actual meat anymore or anything like that. There
What
would
if you
be
want
no
me? How can
use
you
for
get
money
it?
because everyone would have everything. I would assume, like, definitely there's going to be underground markets and stuff like that, but it's not going to be dollars. It's going to be trade and bargain, like item for item, product for product. In the new future, data. A lot of people are going to learn to code and to program, and you can hack people's data and sell it fake, just like we do now, steal people's identities and use their social credit to get away with your criminal lifestyle. It's not going to be like an actual fucking utopia. But universal basic income would provide everybody the ability to not work because there wouldn't be much work left. Everything would be done by robots, machines, AI, just whatever, right? Like they're
But
already making
let's
electronic farming
discuss this.
equipment.
Let's discuss this aspect of this hypothetical future world. That would create a super class of ultra, like there already is a super class of ultra rich individuals, but that would create such a class disparity that it looks like fucking Mad Max.
You mean the kind of class disparity that would have the richest people on the planet living on Mars?
I mean, if they wanted to, I don't know why you would want to live on Mars. Earth's a little bit more prosperous, but
Think of there was this movie with Jason, the guy from Jason Bourne, and it was like that. Where all the poor people, all the lower class people lived on Earth, where it was just decrepit and falling apart, and the upper class lived in a city in the sky, this gorgeous utopia, and essentially that could happen. Yes, because you are correct. It would create a huge class disparity, which it already exists, has existed throughout time. Kings and queens reigning over their peasants. That's fucking human. As disgusting as it sounds, that's so human. Like some people really actually prefer to be dominated over and reigned over and controlled. Some people like actually do not have the mental capacity, the ability to do or think or act for themselves, and they never have. You could even say it's like lineage, like maybe their entire bloodline back to peasant slaves. I don't know. But some people don't have that ability. They need to follow. So,
we all know about 50 Shades, Butterball says, and it's like, it's a funny thing to say, right? It's a funny joke, but touches into human nature and natural animal
it
instinct,
is,
the
yeah.
around the idea of men dominating women and the differences between the sexes. And going beyond that, the differences between individuals who hold different traits within society. There are those who need to be led, those who need somebody to dictate how they are to live in order for them to feel safe and
Yeah.
secure. And then there are those who are comfortable in their own skin to make decisions for themselves and do not want somebody to tell them how to live their lives. And those are two different, like completely separate classes and groups of individuals. Neither one is better than the other. They're just different types and styles of human being. And that's what creates the societies that we live in and always has. That's what creates the idea of a patriarchy,
It's
a
necessary
monarchy,
too,
a
right? Yeah.
hierarchy.
Yeah. It's
We're
necessary to
human
be
beings.
human. Yeah. It's difficult because like my mindset is that I would love for this, for our species. Like I think about like myself, like I said, as a humanist, like I would love for our species to evolve into something better. And the only way that that is ever going to happen is if we all consciously or subconsciously make the same decision and this on the same future. Otherwise, we're essentially doomed to continue exactly what's been happening. Like we had this discussion with Dusty the other day. This is the result. This is, whether intended or not, we're living the result of the human experience up until this point as a whole. And since we are aware, since we are, you know, conscious beings, we are able to understand and process thoughts and you know, our emotions, we can make a choice to change our future as a whole. The only problem is that there are so many people following, sheeping, with shitty people, I would say. Like, it's kind of funny because, like I said, the grouping thing, the tribalism that's happening, you're watching the downfall of group after group after group come to the realization that they've been following a fucking wolf in sheep's clothing, or sheep in wolves clothing, right? Like, they've been, whatever the fuck the saying is. Like, Andrew Tate, that's a great example. Whether you believe he's guilty or not, a lot of people followed that path and had to make a decision when all this information came out. Do they stop following and supporting and just completely forget all the knowledge that they've learned along the way, or do they hold firm and continue
And
to support?
that's
And
very good because we need to move forward in the questions because I have two more spicy things, but this is something also that I had just like laid out in case it came up, and I'd love to know your opinion around everything you're thinking. And you had a good intro there, and so I appreciate that. What are your thoughts around Andrew Tate, the conspiracies that have been built around this individual,
mhm.
and what he's currently going through at this time? What's going on inside your mind with this? Hey, but
So
also, I guess I could start it off. Have you seen what's happening with Andrew Tate? Do you know the story around everything that's up at this
yeah.
point in time? And okay,
Yeah, I know. I look at this from a different perspective because I've never been a supporter of him as a creator or as a person, but I supported his right to free speech because they were trying to ban him and cancel him like they do all the time, right? So I supported his right to free speech, and I still do. He has an absolute right to continue to speak and make himself look like a douchebag. I am not going to try and stop him because the more someone talks, the more you learn about them, and the more you can know if you can agree or disagree with them. So let them talk. Uh, I had heard quite a bit of, you know, the little 10-second clips that everybody else had seen, and to be honest, not my type of person, not going to support it. Didn't really give a shit, moved on with my life. Uh, I think I took more from what he said than a lot of other people did, though, because by the time this happened, the first swatting happened, and all that video of the swatting came out, and I was like, oh, that's fucked up. Then this situation came out, and people started reposting the swatting video like it was current, and that fucking irked me because I don't give a shit what side you're on. If you're gonna fake post for bullshit views and fucking lie, you're just as bad as the person you're trying to fucking expose. And that, it irked the fuck out of me, whoever started doing that. Like, and it was like one or two accounts of people from his fucking media circle that were trying to make it look like he was not arrested for what he was arrested for, and that threw me for a loop. So I waited a couple days, checked into it, and essentially I do and I don't believe what these women are saying because he admitted himself that he ran a seedy operation in a seedy country that had corrupt officials that would accept bribes. He stated on multiple occasions in many different interviews that he took advantage of young women and would get them to come out there and be porn and cam girls for him. He did not deny that he had this messed up past. What
no,
he
not even like
did
a
though
past
was
that
say
he was
like,
doing
I
these things.
regret it. Yeah, like he did say, like, he's like, yeah, I feel bad, but also, like, fuck it, they were gonna do it on their own. And, like, I understood his mentality and his, everything about it, but I didn't approve or support it. And I still don't. I don't support any type of pornography publication for anybody. That's just my personal opinion. I think it's absolutely damaging to the psyche of humans. Um,
So, like Christy
but
said,
the more
like
that came
Christy
out
said in the
about it
comments,
and the more I looked into it,
I just want to say this about this, right? Just like in reference, it's not anything really like terrible or
I can't
crazy.
see your
Um,
comments, Elder.
I know, but I'm gonna like say it in relation, right? He didn't feel bad, is what she said, and in relation to that, I want to ask you about the clip. If you
Yeah,
didn't see the clip or whatever, like we're discussing all of the foreign, or it's not foreign. When I said foreign, I meant distant. That's weird how those are associations. So foreign, it's so weird because you get like all these references, but when I said foreign, distant. So it's a distant clip, an older clip of him describing how he would use these women who are not as savvy in the industry as him, so they don't know how to how to negotiate contracts, and he can make sure that they're going to get less than they would get. The same as the idea of the
yeah.
wage gap, or not, it's like that's worse. That's kind of inflammatory for me to say, but it is the same. Or like just like a bad business deal. It's like you don't know the industry you're in, so I'm going to take advantage of you because I can. And then he's openly stated that many times. So just like her saying
And
it's not, he doesn't feel bad. I was going to say the
and
same thing. I
brought
don't think
them
that he
in
does
from
feel bad
different
about taking
countries.
advantage of these girls. I think I think he just feels bad about
No,
getting caught, or I guess
yeah,
saying
like
it.
so. I think he
I
feels.
regret saying it.
Well, no, I think like so, and that's the thing. That's where if you pay attention to a lot of what he says, like it's a point of pride for him, but also a point of growth, where he's like I knew, like he does talk about it, like he knew that he fucked up, and that's why he would never date these women that do this. Like he would never go for these girls, and that's the type of women that young
Can I
kids
ask you for something?
just go
Because
bang.
I can I ask you something? Because it's something that I'm confused about. You're saying it's like a point of growth, but I thought he was just still actively working in this industry doing this. What do you mean a point of growth? Oh, this was like his job. What does he do now? How does he make money? That's how I thought he made his money. Now, like actively.
So, so from my understanding was looking into the court case, the two girls that are charging him deem back to like 2007. So these charges go back to 2007. Uh,
Mhm.
I don't want to say that he is or isn't running a cam girl operation currently. I do not pay enough attention to Andrew Tate to know, but from what little I have gathered about that is I thought he had moved on to scamming young boys with this hustler college. Uh,
Because though that sounds so much worse though, right? It's like, yeah, like I wonder what kind of lawsuit can come out of that. Probably none. Who knows? We'll see.
I mean, I
CS:GO had a
mean,
long one there,
he he's
teaching
running out of
children to gamble.
Romania, so it's
So one thing I do want to say to you about that,
But
like with the
yeah, so I
Romania thing, well, with the Romania thing and him being jailed in Romania and his team making those claims, posting content that does make you look so dumb and stupid and untrustworthy, just try to get more. What do you want? Some money or something? Do you need some money for bail? Like, what's the deal? Why are you doing that? Does you don't look like a top G if you're gonna be begging for money with views in that. If it's coming from you, like that's weird to me. But also, I think that in his mind, he may have had the perspective that, like, I'm in Romania. Maybe I'll be able to pay my way out. I'll get out, and then I'll be able to just be like, pretend like nothing happened and take care of it undercover without it being a mainstream thing. That did not happen,
yeah.
and it is not going to happen, in my
Well,
opinion.
and that's
But that's conspiracy.
yeah, that's what they
So,
tried. They tried to do that by reposting that stupid fucking swatted video. That was his media team that was posting that and pushing that. If you actually follow those back to like the OG posters, that was his media team. That's why I said it was suspicious. Like, I believe that,
I'm
yeah,
saying damage
he
control.
did take advantage of these girls back in 2007 and got them, did the whole prince boyfriend whatever scam thing on them. Uh, I think the only reason they came forward now is because they realized he had a lot of money and was a public figure, so it was an easy target. Like, think about it. Like, the most canceled man on the internet, information comes out that he fucking did this to two women back in 2007. The world is going to want to destroy him, and these girls are going to get payday. That's what's happening. And that doesn't mean he
Yeah,
didn't do it. He probably fucking 100% did. Like, I don't want to say 100% because I don't actually fucking know, but I believe the girls over him.
I don't pick a gender in which into which factors in my belief systems, I guess, or
No, and
however
I,
I
I
could say
don't
that
mean it like
properly.
that though.
I feel you.
I
You're
don't
just
mean
saying
it
like
like I
okay,
I believe the
okay.
women.
It just I felt like it did, and obviously it isn't coming across that way,
No,
and that's not what you mean. Not like you believe them because they're women over him. I don't know what's going on.
no, no.
I don't know the details of the case. I have no idea. We can speculate from what we've seen, and the idea of what they're being, like the idea of the lover boy uh
That's what
thing.
lover boy.
Okay, that is a
Yeah.
lot different than what we think of when we say human trafficking, and a lot of people really get those two miscommunication is hard there, and it's something that we
Mhm.
should look at, because when you're saying he's being charged with human trafficking, that means he when you think of it, you
He's
think of
not
something
being
very
charged
bad.
with human trafficking though. He's being charged with rape and lover boy. It is like that's actually they're calling it rape. If you look at the charges from the people that arrested him, it's like rape and something else. It's not even human
So
trafficking
that's
charges. It's pretty fucked up.
okay. So that's well. What do you mean that's pretty fucked up? Human trafficking is worse, I'd say, than rape. But rape,
I think
because
it's
like human
fucked up that
trafficking,
they're
I
gonna
think
call it
implies
that. I think it's
grape,
fucked up that the media call it
grapes,
that.
all sorts of grapes. I love eating grapes. My favorite fruit. That's we're having fruit cocktails here tonight, and that's why we're talking about grapes. Yeah, I love grapes. Oh my God,
Rape.
Ajna, I know, because what we're gonna be
Call it.
taken down in 2 fucking seconds because we eat too many fruits over here. Um, but yeah, no, I understand 100%,
But yeah,
and
no, I'm genuinely.
I'm not even disagreeing. I'm just saying I don't know the details of the full intricate details of the case, and I want to know more before I start
Mhm.
making any accusations. The individual is a person that can easily be thrown under the bus, regardless
Yep.
of whether or
I
not you are eager or unwilling to believe the accusations being made. The person themselves has very little credibility to stand on. So there's nobody really out there that's like, yep, of course I'm going to back this guy up. It's like, no, I'm just sitting back waiting to see what happens. I don't know.
Yeah,
I have no idea. I'm not making
yeah.
any allegations. I just see so many people out there being like, "Oh, we got him, we got him." Oh, like selling, it's like throwing a celebration. I'm like, what are you throwing a celebration for? What if it doesn't happen? That's going to be terrible
Well,
for
and they did
you.
the same thing for Trump, and now they got his tax returns, and look, they all look stupid. Trump paid his taxes. Y'all are fucking dumb. Like, good job. Y'all wasted so long and so many investigations and so much money, and you look like a fucking idiot. Oh, the Russia collusion. They investigated what's his face on. Turns out it was Hillary in collusion with fucking Russia. Like Epstein, Harvey Weinstein, everything. It seems like we've all forgotten the good old adage that he who points his finger is guilty. He who smelt
Yeah,
it dealt it.
I want to push the conversation forward because we don't have too much longer. And I have a
Yeah, no
couple
worries.
more conversations here, or discussions, questions, and
Yeah, ask
it
away.
leads
Hit
into
me
what
with
we're
some
saying.
homework.
Yeah, so during okay, this is going to be completely out of left field and a completely different like line of questioning, but during the height of the Ukraine Russia situation, you hosted a very influential Discord system, Discord channel. Yes, yes or no? You want to
Yeah,
agree with that or disagree? Yes, you did. And
I
I
did.
want to know what your perspective is and was around A, hosting a Discord channel that was super popular during that time when people were looking for information, and B, your opinion on what you saw throughout the time that you were hosting the channel, and then now in retrospect with everything that's happened and is happening in Ukraine with Russia. So Ukraine Russia conversation right now.
Yeah. So yeah, my Discord channel kind of blew up for spreading misinformation, as they like to call it. But yeah. So how do I explain this? I knew some stuff about Ukraine and Russia prior to the whole war out there. I want to say like some, and I mean none. Like I knew nothing. But with everything that was happening in the current system and everything that was happening in our ecosystem on TikTok as well as on different social media platforms, I was able to find quite a few controversial pages on Telegram that showed an alternate aspect to the war to people that were actually genuinely curious. And I shared them. And because the information was very sought after and a lot of people considered it truth or information, my TikToks would blow up quite quickly. I'd get stricken and have to, rebuild links and do whatever to continue sharing the information. My thoughts and opinions on the stuff that I've seen are 100% that Ukraine is a Yahtzee filled country that is absolutely involved in human trafficking and money laundering. I believe that the majority of the citizens that remained in Ukraine are in support of the Yahtzees, and not only in support of, but are potential extremist members themselves. And the ones that couldn't get out because they were being withheld, those people are in danger. Those are just average, everyday citizens trying to flee their country. And they're in fear of both their people and Russia because they've been fed propaganda. But with that being said, that's like my current view and opinion. My current view and opinion on Russia is, see, this is difficult. So Russia, I feel fucking horrible for. Russia's people, I feel horrible for because they have had a by proxy propaganda war led against their country since the fucking 80s. And it's easy and manageable for America and the West in general to demonize them so that we all have, you know, a remaining enemy, that one enemy. Does that mean that I think Putin is good? No. The guy's a piece of shit. He's an evil dictator and an absolute fucking horrible person. Russia could do so much better and so much good if they could just manage to get him out. But there's a lot of people in Russia, and the majority do support him, unfortunately, due to building pressure, hate, and as well as, the war in Donbass. They've been attacking, Ukraine had been attacking Russia's people for the past 8 years, uh, raping and killing people. Like, actually, horrible atrocities have been committed on the Russian people over in Donbass for like the last 8 years. And Putin had asked for help many times to get them out, denazify Ukraine, and Nobody listened. Nobody helped. I can't blame him for wanting to fight for his people and standing up for them. Unfortunately, he was forced to. Uh, and he said it was coming. Like, America should have known and done something a lot sooner. Not like done something. It's not their fucking responsibility. It's another country's problem. But if America wasn't in the way, if the UN wasn't in the way, he could have dealt with it before it got to where it was. Putin could have dealt with it before it got to where it was. And yeah, with everything that I've seen, like you've seen the Black Pigeon page, you've seen some of the Telegram pages that I posted and shared. The things
I
that
haven't seen the
that
Black
we
Pigeon page. Is
seen,
that like
they
from Black
fuck with.
Pigeon Speaks?
Yeah, so there was a couple Telegram pages that it was like Polka Azov and just
Yeah.
some different ones that I was able to share without getting banned, surprisingly. Like, I'm shocked some of these videos are still up on TikTok, to be honest.
You've
um,
seen like I think like any of the stuff
yeah,
that I've made, you've seen and probably been one of the only people because they've all been taken down. Things from like, if you try to talk about it, it gets taken down so
yeah,
fast unless you're one of the selected few that are grace the opportunity to actually speak however they like and show whatever they'd like.
yeah. So, and I learned almost right away to do it in a sneaky way, like the way that I got Polka Azov out there. I was like, hey guys, before anything happens, just an FYI, and I learned that if you do like a 15-second verbal intro, the bots and the trolls like just scroll past. They're like, oh, she's not talking about anything on this video. It's just nonsense. And I learned to give like, 15 to 30-second intros of just nonsense and bullshit. And then I'd drop a link. And I noticed that they would start taking down my links and my link tree wouldn't work. And is it it's virtual warfare to get information out. It's literally virtual warfare. And I enjoy it. I enjoy outsmarting them. So yeah, I was able to get a lot of information out quickly, and a lot of the stuff that we seen, like I shared on your page and you shared on my page, but then my Discord got all good. Sorry, I'm just listening because no, you're both strong in research. Oh, that's all good. Yeah, like my
Well,
Discord page
don't
got
look at the
taken
comments
down,
on
and I
that.
don't know if no, I got a comment because we have different comment pages.
Oh,
My
okay,
Discord
okay.
got yeah, that's why I can't see your comments if you're
Well, I
hosting
thought.
me.
Oh, I thought that you said when you said that earlier. I thought that you were saying I can see your comments, so like I didn't need to
No.
respond to it. I thought you said I can see your comments, like telling me that you could already see it. Sorry, I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, I can't see them. But yeah, my Discord got taken down, and if you recall, everybody got hit with a strike. Like, homie Mac Metal, he fucking like a couple my friend, she sent me like a text message like, "Yo, I just got this message from Discord." And it's like, "Oh, these people will be fine." Like, it was this huge message that went out to like all 5,000 of the people that were in my Discord, and my Discord was gone just within seconds. So I haven't really built it back up because I looked into Discord after that. Like, once things like that start happening, I look into them, and I found out that Discord is extremely huge in protecting pedophiles on their platform. And if you go to the
Okay,
Glassdoor
so
website,
I had to stop you for just a second. Because Ajna says something very important. She says, "Please remind Auntie to say grape, Yahtzee, and also what you just said there. Say something like reds or redo like redos, like something something innocuous, right?
okay, we're gonna call
Pedio,
them,
like pediatricians, like."
yeah,
But this is the issue. This is the problem that I have, and this is why I
yeah. So
don't actually. This is why I have. This is why I have Ajna because I, as of right now, we can't say these words, okay? But in 6 months, We probably can't say things like Xi Jinping. We probably can't say that right fucking now either. Probably shouldn't have said that. Um, Definitely probably shouldn't be talking about Winnie the Pooh. Not on this app. Definitely should
No.
not be saying things like Biden, like any sort of things. Even when I when I make when I make a video, I censor any word that has anything to do with politics or like anything, any fucking word, even words
Yeah.
that don't seem like they should not be taken out of context or not be taken out. But it's just the algorithm's weird. It's like they're gonna put you into this bubble that has
Yeah.
to do with these things. Duo, we'll talk about this in our discussion, the Winnie the Pooh thing. Don't nobody tell her what's going on. I want her to be blind because that's a pretty crazy
No, I don't know
situation.
anything about that.
You don't know anything about
Yeah,
that?
but no, I noticed the Discord. No, I don't. I've been really busy with school for like the last month. It's my last couple weeks, so I've been pretty busy. But no, yeah, Discord shut me down. I looked into them, found out that they have some ex-employees that have outed them for protecting these channels and these pages and the people that are on them that are actually, moving humans inconspicuously around the world.
Yeah,
They have
that's a
channels
good
and
way to put
pages
it.
on
Yeah.
there as well as, yeah, they do on just about every social media platform. They have a segregated area for these people to continue conducting business in such a manner that the general public isn't aware. And it fucking blew my mind. So since then, I've been hesitant to continue rebuilding anything on Discord. I do not want to support a platform that protects these types of people. That's why I didn't have a Twitter until just like this past year. I've had a Twitter, and the first thing that Elon did, not that I trust the man, one of the first things that he did though was he went and put people in place to start dealing with that, because they too had a segregated community that continued the abuse on their platform, and it was protected. Like there wasn't even anybody stopping it. So yeah, I not that Telegram's any better, and that's where I'm kind of like, I love Telegram because it's a great platform, but I have to keep in mind that it is a Russian platform, and the potential for them to,
China.
because they are
Chinese.
very different from us in tech rights and stuff. So they could too also be, protecting these types of people. But I trust the owner and operator of Telegram over every single westernized social media platform owner and operator. And that's fucking scary. That is so scary that I trust a Russian platform more than a Western. But I do.
But they're not. They're well, what, you're saying that TikTok is Russian? It's Chinese. China. It's China.
No.
China.
Telegram. Telegram.
Telegram's Russian? Damn. I do trust
Yeah.
Telegram a little bit
Yeah.
more than other platforms. Fuck. Damn. Well, this is a problem. Okay, this is
Yeah.
something
It's
that okay.
it's Russian.
We have a bit. We have a bit of time, and if we go over, that's okay because you and I can have good conversations, and that's why I was very happy, and I'm very. A little bit of a interlude here in the middle or near the end. We're coming in, we're wrapping up. We're near the end, but we're not wrapping up yet. But what I will say is, I appreciate everybody in the comments that have been respectful. The individuals who have been saying anything against Auntie's perspective, she can't see what you're saying. So speak away and
I can't.
I will say that people have been standing up for you in the comments as well, saying like, you get your perspective, and like not everybody has to agree, and that's the whole point of this channel, and that's what it is.
No.
And I don't even remember what it was about. It was something very like I remember when I saw it, I was like, this is not even talking about anything controversial. Like you just disagree. Everybody disagrees. Like that's the whole point. Everybody disagrees
Disagree
with
just to
something.
disagree. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that.
So
I feel like humanity is definitely at an impasse right now where people are angry just to be angry. People have picked sides just to feel like they're a part of something. people are using their traumas and mental illnesses as excuses and reasons to continue the cycle of abuse on others. And it's created an extremely toxic society just in
You
general.
brought
Like,
something up though
which,
right before this that I had a question about. Do you remember what you were
okay,
saying right before this?
about Telegram?
Yeah, it was about Telegram. Yeah, you were just saying
I'm
it just
worried
came
that
in
it
and
won't.
came out because I didn't have it written down. You just made me think of it. I'm sorry for cutting you off, considering I don't have another perspective to push into the conversation. So I'm kind of stupid for doing that, but this is how it all is. This is why I brought you in for the first conversation here on the channel, so that I can learn and
Practice.
grow and have somebody who's not going to be completely upset and angry with me. And this is what I was doing before. I appreciate everybody that's in the comments that have been talking, that has been talking, and that have been giving their perspective. And also, I appreciate you. This is what I was doing before, and this is why I lost my train of thought because I have ADHD. And everybody will learn in the chat and in the comments below. And in retrospect, when you listen to this, if you ever do in the future, podcast style, because this is the first episode of interviews with, and it is with somebody who you and I have talked many times, and I am appreciative for you to come out, and I'm thankful that you were able and willing to be the first person to have a discussion with me. Um, it's been easy. It's been good. I've been grateful for that relaxed style because sometimes it's heated and we don't always agree, but from a host's point of view, I try to be relaxed, but I can't always be relaxed because I obviously have my own biased points of view.
Yeah.
But I need to learn to take a step back, especially if I want to interview people and learn where they're coming from. It's not about me. It's not about what I think. If I believe something, it does not matter. I want to know what you think and where you're coming from. And so I appreciate you coming out and at least allowing me to start this off without any pressure. I still did. Like, I have my whole book here sitting down. Got my,
Yeah.
you can't really see it. My whole anti cookie monster question book that I wrote
Yeah.
down. Went on your page, went through your videos, and looked up the different
Yeah.
things that I wanted to bring up and questions and topics. But I don't feel pressured. And I appreciate that. It makes me feel a little bit more supported in what I want to try to achieve throughout the next year. Because this is what I'd like to do with lots of people, everybody, anybody who has an opinion that's firm in their opinion. I want to hear from people. And so, thank you.
Yeah. I'm excited for that too, because like watching your page grow over the past bit, it's been awesome. And when I've been able to partake and, be involved, it's been even better. But I want to continue to support your page growing into whatever you want it to be, because that's kind of what I'm feeling 2023 is going to be about for me, and hopefully for others, is actually not saying, hey, let's stop being dicks to each other, and actually stop being dicks to each other, you know, the action part of it. And I want to move forward by actually being a positive person. So I'm going to continue to support you in any way that I can and wherever your channel goes. So,
Thank you. I do appreciate that a lot. So, let's move the conversation a little bit forward because it's already at 10:43. I've been watching the time. It's insane. I wasn't sure if I had enough questions to fill out the full 2 hours, but we do, and I'm getting worried that we're not going to be able to actually talk about everything that I'd like to talk about. We were just talking about Ukraine and the way that you had been introduced to that whole situation, and how your channel came under attack from individuals who were saying that you were spreading misinformation. And so I have a question that I'd like to bring up
mhm.
because on your channel, you do have quite a bit of content that deals with discussing restrictions and um, how TikTok restricts individuals, and they don't like not banning, but being, what's the word? like negatively impacted or like scolded? What's like you're being punished by
Downvoting
TikTok?
or
Or
yeah,
no,
you
like
get you
you're
get
being like you upload content and then you get stricken down. You get punished by TikTok for a certain thing. So the question that I have here, maybe this will make more sense because I literally wrote it out. So when I had a normal mind going on. The idea is around selective restrictions, right? So I see that you have quite a bit of videos on your page that describe the idea of being restricted or being censored. So, what are your thoughts on the terms of service within TikTok itself? And then also, are there certain groups that you have noticed being restricted more than others? Are people being targeted and restricted, or does it happen across the board at an unruly rate on TikTok?
yeah, I wouldn't say there's any specific group getting targeted more than another. I would say just well, here's some perspective from completely outside of any political party. There was this kid called Marvel Geek or Geek Marvel, and he just is a comic book lover. He's a young kid and just absolutely loves comics. He started making it pretty big in the community, and he got a shout out from one of his fans who was, I can't recall his name right now, but was another huge comic book content creator. And he's like, yo, go follow this kid. Like, he has some great points and he understands, like, again, I'm not a huge comic book person, but I guess the theories and the science or whatever. He's really good in the comic book community as well. Giving a shout out to this little kid. So this little kid's page goes from like 5K to 50K overnight. And a bunch of other random trolls and just Marvel content lovers started for absolutely no reason targeting this kid and reporting his content. This kid's content was nothing but comic book. There's no, like, you can get, he would just have conversations about it. There is nothing about what this kid talked about that broke community guidelines. And yet he was getting thousands of reports put on him to the point where they got like 4 or 5 of this kid's accounts just taken because they didn't like his opinion about a fucking comic book or, Marvel. They didn't like his opinion. That happens on a daily basis, whether it's on a big scale like that and it's a targeting of shitty people just wanting to take you down, or it's on, 4 or 5 people that troll your page on a weekly basis and just report until you get stricken down. It's, it is, it is, and it isn't a bigger issue than that because yes, there is governments coming in and also requesting things be restricted, taken down, downvoted, etc. That's beyond a bigger fucking issue. But on just such a small scale that you literally, like in my day, we called them snitches and teachers' pets. You got these teachers' pets and little snitches rolling around and just, like your content
Brown
and I'm
nose.
pathetic. Yeah, like it's so like pick me that it's fucking sad. Like they follow and
Yeah.
stalk you because they hate you. If you don't like me or my content, you don't agree with me, just block me. If I don't like you or your content, I don't even report or block you. I just fucking scroll past. I don't agree with that. I don't. Sometimes I comment and I catch
So
myself being a dick, just like every other human does. And I'll stop myself. Sometimes I don't, and I go back and I read my comment. I'm like, I'm an idiot.
I do it more than
Yeah,
a
and
normal person. So like I want to ask you that like because like you just said that like you do go and comment and then you catch yourself doing that being an asshole. I do the same thing and then you just said you go back and
yeah,
sometimes you delete your comment. I would say I've only deleted
yeah,
my comment like
I feel like a
2% of
dick.
the time. I do feel like a dick sometimes, but I'm pretty convicted in what I say. And so even though what I did say was a dick move, I'm like, yeah, that's how I still feel though. I leave it up. You say that you take it down sometimes, a lot of the time. It's okay if you
Well,
do, because
I
like
have
that's
deleted a
very good
comment.
reflection.
No, no, I have
I probably
deleted a
should do the
comment
same.
because I genuinely was disgusted with myself. I was like, yes, I have that opinion, but this is not the place or time. And I felt
Yes,
like it
that
just was
that is
so
it.
inappropriate, unnecessary that yeah, I
Hmm.
went back and deleted it. And there's been other times where I just like people will comment and I know my comment was a dick thing to say, so I just won't respond to any of the comments that comment at me and reply to me. I'm just like, no, I still hold the opinion, but I don't need to further elaborate. So I'll
Well,
just
sometimes
scroll
like you
and
hold an
not worry
opinion,
about those.
like you just said. Sometimes you hold an opinion, and it is fine to hold opinions, but in which time and place is it appropriate to express those opinions? If somebody is expressing how they are
Yeah,
negatively being impacted by something, it's not the time or place to bring up how something could, rightfully so, be different, a different opinion or a different ideology that negates how they're feeling.
yeah,
But it negates how they're feeling. They're in their feels. They don't care. That's not what it's for. It's not what the time and place. It's not the time or place. And to recognize that recognizes that you also are coming from a place of growth and reflection. That I think that makes you a good
yeah.
person in my mind. So
Yeah,
I
I'm
want to we're
trying.
gonna wrap things up a little bit. You don't need to try. You don't need to try. You are doing. You do with your everyday actions. Everything that you do within your own life builds up who you are. You don't need to try anything. You are who you are, and you're a good person in my eyes. From everything that I've seen, you're a very good person. So just keep up who you are. Keep being you. But I want to wrap
Yeah,
things up. I want to get things like concise, and I want to be able to have enough time in the end. So I'm going to ask you a final question and then pose the question to anybody else in the comments that has anything in their minds that they'd like to ask you as well. So the final question that I personally have for you, that I will also be asking a lot of other individuals, every other individual that comes into this conversation, because I think this is very important in my perspective. So moving forward, where do you see yourself at this time next year?
um, so it's like what?
Year's just starting.
January.
First week.
Yeah, potentially at my new career. Um, Saving money for Vegas to get married, like honeymoon or whatever. Um, I mean, best case, like that's, best case scenario, yeah, that. Worst
It's
case
fantasy world.
scenario, yeah, so
This is fantasy world. I want to see it. I want to hear it all. I want to see all the potential. It's not even just like where you're going to be at, like what your
if
plans are,
I
what you're
could
going to be
have
doing, like
what
where your
if I
mindset's
could,
going to be.
so if I could have exactly what I want and just flick of a switch this time next year, I will have saved up enough money over the year to potentially get an off-grid home, a couple goats and chickens, and uh, freelance tech, and just live in the woods with some dogs. I mean, like dream goals. It would be a complete off-grid home. You could do probably container homes, get like two or three semi-container boxes, build a kick-ass home out of them. But realistically, save up over the next year, do the whole wedding thing, and then save up and potentially do that after.
So I have to just like ask you, what isn't realistic, or like what is the deal? Like why is it more realistic to save up for a wedding and get married rather than save up with your partner in order to start your life together. Sorry, I'm not. Okay, sorry, I'm getting too
No,
emotional because I get like I go. I
no,
just
you're
I get real emotional sometimes because like this is
no,
such a
no,
weird thing. The point of contention that like I may make a whole video about because I really want to know why is it better to like have a luxurious honeymoon and great
no, I
wedding
don't.
rather than just start a fucking life with your partner. That
Yeah,
sounds so much
so
more luxurious and
Elder,
better to me, in my
Elder,
opinion. But anyway,
no, but
I gotta ask.
no, truthfully, that's my thought too. But so I don't actually care about getting married, like at all. I, I don't think it changes anything. I
You
don't
get
think it's
government, it does. You
necessary.
get government perks and shit. Like there's
I don't
differences in the
care.
way your taxes are filed and stuff like that. But if you're
Yeah,
gonna
but
be
I
like
don't care about
sneaky
any of
about
that. It doesn't change
taxes,
anything. To me, if the love is there, then the relationship is there. Nothing else is necessary. You guys are together if you're together in it together. Your hearts are connected. Uh, you know, but he wants that, and I love him enough that I would give him whatever he wants. And I said, if you want to get married, that's 100% um something that I'm willing to do with you, but you're planning it all. You're dealing with everything. I don't want to make any decisions. I've given like my opinions, like, hey, we should do it in the woods. There's this place, with crystal clear blue water, and it's uh I wouldn't mind going to like Vegas as the honeymoon. Like he was gonna, like it's all up to him, and he's planning it. But I've given my opinions, and like I would my likes, I guess. Um, but I have said keep it small because I don't think any of it's necessary. I think that me and him could just you could literally just put a ring on and just go live your lives together. You don't need to do any of that. But
yeah.
it's
No,
it's
I'm right there with you. I
it
definitely think that you
doesn't
have a
matter
very
to
good
me if
mindset
the
there.
yeah.
Sorry, what? I'm sorry for cutting you off. I'm sorry for talking over you there.
No, I was gonna say like it's not really anything to me to get married or to not get married, but he wants to, and I'm down for it. My original thought was like a Joker and Harley Quinn theme wedding. I was like, oh, you want to do it in Vegas? Why don't we do a theme wedding? Because he was trying to pick like fancy shit. I was like, no, Joker and Harley Quinn, or like, let's do the fucking due date, or you know what I mean? Like,
Of course. And so I
to
do
me,
have to
to me,
say
it's
that
stunning.
I hope you know that this conversation is going to be posted again. And this specific conversation that we're having here is going to be posed into a question at least. And the question at hand is I'd love to know your perspective, at least, especially because you're the one that has brought it forward. The thoughts around the idea of the perfect wedding and how that is normally promoted as a woman's dream or goal, and everything that you're describing as your potential husband or your future husband or your fiance, as it would be considered essentially right now, your boyfriend who is your fiance, soon to be husband
Mhm,
in general. Their goals, their perspective is that they want this luxurious wedding. They've been looking for this. And
mhm,
when you're young, that's attributed to feminism, femininity, the idea of women are the only ones that want this sort of thing. You're a woman and you are as much of a woman as I've ever met. And you do not want that. It doesn't make or break your femininity. That's just not a goal that you want. And him as a man, I don't think that makes or break for his masculinity for me or the way that I look at him. That's just a goal that he wants. But in society, these attributes are very much, or these goals are very much attributed to gender or the way that gender is attributed to sex. And so men don't care about marriage. Women have always wanted to have the perfect marriage their entire lives since they were little girls. But maybe a little boy used to play wedding with their. No, I'm telling you though, like maybe they used to play wedding or some shit when they're growing up with their
Yeah.
friends. Like they had a bunch of girlfriends, and they've always thought about this, and like that's the same sort of thing. And
And
it's
I
like
don't see a
you really
problem.
shouldn't. No, I don't. I'm not saying that you should have a problem. I'm just saying like you shouldn't. Society, these whole things, right? It seems as though like men shouldn't express that they want. Like the stereotype is like men don't care. Yeah, let the woman do what they want. I don't care what happens at the wedding. I don't even care about having a wedding. I don't care about the ritualistic
Yeah.
aspects. But no, he clearly does, and he's the one that does. That's why you're doing it. So
Yeah.
it isn't a woman's thing. I don't know. I've always looked at weddings as like a very
I don't
feminist or
segregate.
feminine perspective, but they're not.
No, and I don't differentiate any of it by gender. I ask each individual human what their preferences and wants and needs are for relationship or, moving forward. I really it wouldn't matter who I was dating if that was the next logical step and we both wanted it or they wanted it and I'm in love with them enough. I don't think gender plays into it at all. It's just preference. So you just what do you want? What do I want? And me, I didn't and don't care. And I don't think that me being a female, I should have to care. And I didn't even question him being a male not caring or, care or if he should care. I just asked him. I didn't even think about it. Like, it's not something that I think about. I do not segregate by gender. It's just human, you know. Obviously, I do when it comes
Yeah,
to my sexual preference because that's something different. But for feelings, emotions, wants, and needs, I don't separate any of that by gender. I think that every human is an individual and can express themselves. So, yeah.
no, I'm right there with you. I'm right there. Um, I don't know. I'm gonna give you the floor right now. If there's anything that's on your mind that you'd like to discuss that you weren't able to bring up so far, I'd love to hear what it is. If there's anything you'd like to say, also, I'm gonna give the floor to anybody who's in the chat that would like to ask a question or two. But I've appreciated the conversation so far, and I think that it's been very interesting, right? Just to get into the inside knowledge, the inside perspective around where you are coming from as an individual. And I think that I guess you probably don't know me anymore throughout the evenings. I've only really asked you questions. I said a few things. I got into it a few times, but I think that I know you a little bit more than I did before that we started this conversation, and I appreciate
Yeah.
that. I appreciate you being
Yeah.
so open and honest with the way that you responded.
Yeah. I definitely was curious to see like what kind of questions you would come with because I was like, oh, this could be interesting. Um, for me, I definitely had different thoughts of where the night was gonna go. I thought you were gonna hit me with some like theoretical and like psychological questions because you do kind of know me and I don't talk on the base level about things. So this could have been this could have been Elder. We could have been lovers in this interview, but no, I'm just kidding. uh, yeah, so
No, you know what it is. Like that's the whole thing though. Like because like where I'm coming from and like you understand, or at least through at least maybe at this point in time, you'll understand that like if you know that I understand a deeper perspective from in which you are trying to speak, and
mhm,
yet I am trying to bring out the
bring
base level of your
yeah,
ideologies. There's a reason for that
some
because not
fuckery.
everybody's on the same level
I
as you and
know.
I are. So we can't start at that third or fourth
Yeah,
level down. We need to start at like the beginning of the rabbit hole. Before we're not even in the rabbit hole. We're outside on the ground. We see a pile
yeah,
of dirt. Like what pile of dirt did you see that led you down this
Yeah.
rabbit hole because these people are
And
so
it's
outside.
difficult.
They're not in it.
Yeah. It's like you're asking me what the weather's like, and I'm like, for real? Like, come on.
It's been it's been happening. There's been a storm outside for the past week. What do you mean what's happening? It's raining. It's
I
fucking
know,
it's
but
shit outside. I'm not going out there. What do you mean what's the weather like? It's
yeah, what's the
bad.
weather
It's a
like?
very bad. That's a good perspective. That's very funny.
But that's,
What's the weather
that's
like?
what
It's
you get
shit.
tonight. You're like, what's the weather like? I'm like, what the fuck? Okay, let's do this. Let's chat about sports, bitches.
That's the thing, because not everybody's on the same perspective. Not everybody's on the same level. And when you start so far down that, when you start in the
Yeah.
middle of the storm, being like, oh, guess what? It's sunny today, but that's because we're in the eye of the storm, and tomorrow it's going to be 10 times worse than it was yesterday. They're like, you're a fucking liar. You do not know what you're talking about, and I'm not going to listen to you. And that's why I'm here to have these conversations. We're trying to break down, it's from both sides, from the left and the right. When you hear the left say, oh, you are racist because you say this, um, what are you talking about? Well, they're talking about the fact that you said this word that relates to the way that I have interacted with these sort of ideologies. And when people say this sort of thing, they normally are in this sort of group of individuals, and this sort of group of individuals normally have this set of ideologies. And so they've come to the conclusion. The same as you have come to your conclusions based on the ideologies that you hold, but they're both. You cannot come to me 3 steps down because I need to be just informed like I don't know anything. So I do appreciate that because you're able
Yeah.
to do that, and so I thank you for that because I realized in the beginning you're like, wait, what's happening? Wait, we're just having like a real like normal like nut like we're just like talking surface level.
Yeah.
Yes, surface level conversation. We'll
Surface
come back and
level.
we'll have like a more in depth conversation once these interviews pop off a little bit more, and I have like more talks with people that like we didn't talk about AI as much as I'd like to. We didn't get to another topic that I don't even want to bring up because I don't want to talk about it at all right now because it's really controversial, the most controversial out of all of them. But I decided not to get to that. But we did talk about a lot of stuff, and
Yeah.
I'm very thankful. I'm just really thankful. I'm very happy. I'm feeling very good. I'm going to have more conversation in the future. If you know Christy, she is scheduled for Thursday, so Thursday at 9 p.m. Christy and
Okay,
her I
nice.
are going to have a conversation, the same as you and I just went through. So the same as like conversation, like this topics or whatever questions, but tailored to her and her content and the way that she is, like the way that I perceive her. This is just me talking to
Yeah.
you, but the way that I perceived you, the way that I've like interacted with you, and that's why I'm saying that I've learned a lot more
Hmm.
because some things that I brought up, you didn't respond the way that I thought you would. You said things that I was like, oh, okay, so you believe this? That makes sense to me. Either way, I'm just very happy and I'm thankful. I'm thankful for you to come on and like help me move forward and not be so fucking awkward or worried, I guess, because I have anxiety all the time, right? So I'm just anxious. Even though Christy is a nice person as well, she's not someone who's come on as much as you and I. We haven't had as many discussions and we've talked a lot. So it's like I wasn't worried. I was just worried that like maybe we wouldn't have all these discussions
Yeah.
or topics, but we obviously can ramble on about anything for as long as we want, probably. So
Yeah.
I
No, we're
appreciate
good.
it a
We
lot.
can
Well,
hold
I
a
don't. I,
conversation.
yeah,
Yeah.
just doesn't always happen. Yeah, I appreciate that though so much.
No
So, is there
worries, man.
anything
I'm
that
here
you'd
for
like to
you.
end the night off though? Is there anything that you'd like to end the night off with? Any sort of anything at all? Anything that you didn't get to say, or any sort of like thing that you'd like to shout out, or anything? I know that I don't know. Are any projects that you're working on, or anything that you're like going into on the future that you'd like people to look into?
Um, Not right now. I think for right now, a lot of people, including myself, just in general, need to look at 2023 as the year of self-accountability, improvement, and growth. Let's uh let's focus on ourselves and what we could do better and not so much on what everyone else is doing wrong. I think that we need to stop the toxicity. And
Yeah,
I know that's hard. Uh, I'm just as guilty. And just as bad. My hands are not clean, so it's something that just we need to do as a species. That's what I would like to leave people off with.
I think those are some very wise words of wisdom, and it was good to end off your discussion throughout the evening. An interview with Anti-Cookie Monster. And I think it went very well, and I'm appreciative, once again, of everything that you have said throughout the evening. With that being said, I'm going to let you go, and I thank you for coming out, and I'll see you again in the comments, and I'll see you again just in chats in general. Thank you for your conversations and
Yeah.
your perspective this evening.
Catch you later.
Some very good discussions that we had here tonight. I appreciate everybody that's been in the comments below. I appreciate Auntie for coming in to the conversation. This has been an interview with Anti-Cookie Monster, and we're going to continue these conversations for the next unforeseeable future. I have no idea how long this is going to go on for, but I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody coming out tonight, and thank you guys for everything that you said. With that being said, my name's Elder. This has been the Open Debate, an interview with Anti-Cookie Monster. If you didn't know, be your own hero, kids.